welcome to the North Bank podcast, where as ever I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Hello, gentlemen.
Evening.
Good evening.
So we're recording this on Monday evening. The game feels like an age ago. How are we feeling? Everton 0-0.
It felt like an age watching it. So
yeah,
time has slowed down in this run up to Christmas.
Time to process it as well.
Okay, you say that. My feelings are pretty consistent with how they were in the immediate aftermath of it. I have like this deep-seated frustration stroke concern about where we're currently at. I guess you ask yourself the question each year, have we progressed from last season, the previous season? And we're 5 years into the Arteta project, and I think, you know, each season has shown progression, some like huge progression from season. Some maybe it's, you know, only natural that we plateau a little bit and we find our footing and then we kick on again, maybe in January as we did last season. But I don't know. I guess it's the context. We've gone 3 Premier League games now without scoring a goal from open play. And the frustration is that Man City are having an absolute stinker of a run. 1 win in 11.
Can we talk about them for an hour?
We are, yeah. And we are, but we are only 3 points ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, we can happily talk about them. I mean, there's some brilliant stuff like Stay Humble, and Kyle Walker yesterday made an absolute fool of himself. And I'm no fan of Manchester United, but I did smile when they won that game, and I did smile when I saw Rasmus Højlund's either Instagram or tweet about Kyle Walker last night, where he wrote a poem.
Absolutely brilliant.
It was really, Manchester is red, violets are blue. Something about Kyle Walker, the Oscar goes to you, or something like that. It's like brilliant. And it was embarrassing. Like, it really was embarrassing. And I saw that on the BBC, Matthias Nunes. He got... Well, I was looking to see who the man of the match was, and obviously Man United fans have been all over the BBC app because Nunes was on like 9.99 out of 10, way out on his own as man of the match. And even before he gave away the equaliser, he was awful. Like, he was awful. He was so bad. Can
I just contextualise both of them? Because, yeah, Man City, bad and embarrassing, but United fans are... Because that game was not good, and they're now celebrating rising all to the dizzy heights of 12th. So it's all good.
But as you said, Holly, they're only 3 points behind us, which tells its own story of where we're at.
And that's my issue, absolutely. And I know, you know, Liverpool have drawn their last 2 games, so we've missed an opportunity to close 4 points on them. Their 2 games are a lot more difficult than our 2 games. They were away at Newcastle, home to Fulham. We were away to... Who were we away to? Fulham. Okay, that's the difficult, but we should have won that game. And home to Everton. And I think we should have won that game as well. I get people like Le Grove who have been really positive, and I do like reading what he's got to say as well. You know, we are dominating games, but we're not winning them. You know, do you think we should be further ahead this season than a 0-0 draw at home to Everton and a 1-1 draw away at Fulham? Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's my question. And that's why I feel quite flat about us. And I was flat in the last podcast as well. I'm struggling to kind of put a positive spin on it. And the Everton game has just consolidated that. I mean, look, the team news, you know, in an attacking sense, that's like, you know, Rice, Odegaard, Merino, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli. Name a stronger front 6. Name a stronger attacking lineup that we've got, that we're capable of. There isn't one.
You could argue Partey is better at passing through the lines than, say, a Merino or a Rice at 6.
Partey for Merino and drop Rice further forward. Yeah, possibly.
Not much difference though.
But it's you're talking about. I mean, that's not you're looking at Odegaard and Saka. The defence: Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis Skelly. I mean, Calafiori. We're a Calafiori away from our strongest lineup.
Yeah.
Possibly with an argument, with a discussion to be held about Partey, perhaps. And yet, that was, we can talk about Arteta's in-game management and his substitutions. Yes, he was proactive or active, perhaps, earlier in the game, 60, 62 minutes, whatever it was. But his substitutions were odd. Like taking Timber away from right back, odd. Replacing Odegaard with Nwaneri when it wasn't working. And Odegaard, that was tactical. I wouldn't be taking Odegaard off. As poor as he was, keep him on, because if anyone's going to create something, it's going to be him. But put him and Nwaneri on. Everton are no threat going forward. There was zero threat at the back. So why not have a few, a bit of variety to your attack? Rice apparently felt something, so his substitution was injury related. So fair enough, and Jorginho's fine. I don't have any issue with him. But the whole thing, I've got something. We had 80% possession in the second half. Our XG was 0.59. We created precious little. Our chances were in the first half, and it would have been a very different game had we taken one of those chances. Odegaard missed another one. But had we taken, and Martinelli, we can talk about Martinelli, but, again, he got into some good positions, but no end product at all. So, I don't know. It's our XG for the game was, what was it? 1.37, XG for Fulham 2.43, but I don't know how much of that was from set pieces as well. We created 13 chances. We had 5 shots on goal in the Everton game, 12 chances and 4 on goal in the Fulham game. What is it? What do we need? Do we have internal solutions? Do we need to look into the January transfer window? I looked at Cunha last podcast we did, and he scored again, which is, interesting. He also got into a scrap after the game where he elbowed an Ipswich member of staff and then stole his glasses off his face. So he did look like a bit of a twat in the process.
He should be looking at a 6-game ban.
Oh no, absolutely. I didn't like what he did at all. The elbow to the back of the head was a right sneaky thing. Yeah. He did it in such a way that he could probably argue I didn't mean it and probably get away with it, but he clearly meant it. And then he took his, glasses off his face. So I don't know. Can one of you two cheer me up, please?
No, not really.
Okay, thanks. Right, and on that note, good night.
Look, for me, it's, I don't know, because I've been trying to look at the positives, and for a long time I've kept sort of reassuring myself at how good we are defensively, and you said about dominating the game, and dominating a game is fine, restricting the opposition is fine, but at some point you have to lay a glove on the opposition. So I'm always using boxing analogies, and so here I go again. Some of the best boxers that have ever lived have been defensive boxers. They're good at avoiding getting hit. Okay, but if you do that and you survive your 12 rounds, you leave it up to the judges at the end to see how they've interpreted the contest, and they might go the other way. And that's what we're doing. We're being so defensive that we're leaving things to these kind of fine margins. And Everton defended well, but at the same time, did we put them under such pressure that it made them, apart from a Pickford save that I can think of from a Saka volley, I didn't feel like it was a proper Everton backs to the walls, life on the line kind of performance, because actually our volume of chances and definitely our quality of chances just wasn't good enough.
Can I just jump in there on that point exactly? I did a bit of research on goals scored in the last 10 minutes, because exactly what you just said, I didn't sense that our goal was inevitable, whereas last season I felt a goal in the last 10 minutes in that game would have been more inevitable, if that's a thing. So I looked. This season we've scored 4 goals in the last 10 minutes, so from 81 to 90. So that includes added time as well.
Blimey.
4 goals. Last season, our total was 18, but after 16 games, we'd scored 9 goals in the last 10 minutes of games. And I didn't go and look and see how many of those were changing draws into victories, but some were, obviously, maybe others weren't. I've written down somewhere how many goals we scored in stoppage time last season, but I can't find it.
But I can think of several games last season and the season before where it was notable about our resilience and determination to push on and get a result. Last season, the most famous one in my mind was Luton with the 4-3 win. I think it was the season before, though, away at Villa when Jorginho, hit the ball off the back of Martinez's head to go in. We were sort of known for never stopping, basically.
Well, Man United at home, wasn't it?
With being relentless, absolutely relentless. Yeah, United at home and things like
There's
that.
There's a common denominator in some of those, which is when you're playing away and the onus is on the home team to come at you, they come on to us and create more opportunity for us to counter. What we don't do, which is embedded into Arteta's style, is, since the first season where it was a bit chaotic and we were loving it, when we first challenged for the title, the next season, remember, it was Control FC, wasn't it? It was that kind of steady build-up. And I think the hangover of that is what we're experiencing now, in that on Saturday, I was screaming for them to just break quicker, try and catch Everton. Yes, they were in a low block, but when you transition on them, if you can play quicker, you will get in behind them occasionally. There was virtually no opportunity to get in behind because we were recycling it, taking our time with the...
Okay, so whose fault is that? No,
it's systemic.
So it's Arteta's fault then, isn't it? Because he's had 3 years at City where every team going to the Etihad is going to present with a low block, pretty much. And then on top of that, he's had 5 years at us where the majority of teams will come to us, certainly the last 2.5 seasons, will come to us, and maybe they won't sit like 10 behind the ball like Everton did. But surely we have to have enough nous now. I deliberately kind of highlighted our starting 11 in an attacking sense. We weren't missing anyone. We can't point to, Odegaard would have picked a lock there. Go on, Steph.
So in that sense, there's a couple of videos doing the rounds, and the one I saw was Rory Talks on TikTok, who was looking at a moment in the game where Odegaard turns over the ball in midfield, and in the context of the game, Everton had committed 4 or 5 players. So Odegaard was ahead in an attacking sense of 4 or 5 Everton players, which was rare in the game because they were defending. And Odegaard gets the chance. Martinelli has suddenly sprinted. It's almost like a trigger for him to go. And Martinelli dribbles with it a little bit more, allows the Everton midfielder to basically defend him, and a weak pass, because now Odegaard feels rushed, and the ball goes behind Martinelli and just completely takes all the momentum out of our attack. And we just didn't do it enough. And so there's an element, there is a systemic thing that comes from Arteta, yes, absolutely. But why is Odegaard not reading the moment to say, okay, well, there's an opportunity there, you break, you go? The players also have to take some responsibility, surely.
How much of that is coached into them to say, don't turn over? If you're going to commit forward while the opposition still has men in your half, you're taking a risk by... Do you know what I mean? It seems like we're allowing them to get back into shape, which is what's so frustrating, because that's defensively, might sound counterintuitive, but it makes more sense defensively, doesn't it? To allow the opposition to get back so that they're not able to counter on you.
So where's the individuality? Where's that spark? Where's that freedom to express yourself in an attacking sense?
Also, like, one of the marks, because, we all knew Declan Rice was good when he came to us, but I think I described him in those first few weeks and months, Stretch Armstrong, because he was so good at sniffing out trouble, so that we could afford to gamble a little bit and let people go, because we've got one of the best... and
the 2 best centre-halves in the country,
and 2 brilliant centre-halves. The point is we have better players, isn't it? Yeah. That's how you become better. I mean, look at City. It's absolutely no coincidence that over the last few years, what they've bought is not only good defenders, but really, really quick defenders. And that's why we're all laughing at Walker, because, he's starting to slow down now that he's, what is he, 32, 33 now or something like that. And ultimately they run out of gas, but we haven't got that. We've got top class defenders and defensive midfielders who are able to cover and hopefully give the platform for those attackers. So we don't need that thing of just keeping hold of the ball, let the opposition reset.
Okay, let's look at our attackers. And can I quote Arsblog here? 0 from Sterling, Jesus 1 goal in 33. And this is my favourite bit from Arsblog. Trossard and Martinelli are having a crap off.
Well, all of these things, nothing is in isolation. Arteta's control, some of the individual performances, but also the need to freshen up that front line.
And he hasn't done it at all.
Well, the club haven't. Sterling, Edu freely admits that it wasn't in our plans. It was just opportunistic, basically. And it's looking like a bit of a waste of time on all.
And to what extent can you legislate for poor form where so many of the front line are experiencing just poor form?
Okay, Martinelli's been experiencing poor form for 2 seasons, so it's like how long? I mean, we've let 3 transfer windows sail by without addressing a goal scoring. We were having the same conversations this time last year. 2 transfer windows have passed us by since those conversations, and we are yet to sign an attacking player. I did look at Nico Williams.
A forward. Sure.
Well, okay, so Havertz, we signed Havertz. That would be, but we signed him as a midfielder. It was only because of our poor form last season at this stage that Arteta pushed him further forward, and it clicked. So by accident, perhaps.
A happy accident, yeah.
Yes. Nico Williams has played 16 games this season. He scored 1 goal and 3 assists, so maybe he wasn't the answer either. I don't know how his team's getting on. I don't know how many chances they create or anything like that. But I know it's not. My point is that it's not dipping into the transfer market doesn't guarantee you anything.
No.
However, sticking with Martinelli and Trossard does guarantee you something.
A crap off.
But none of us would have said it's time to sell Martinelli over the last 3 windows.
Squad player, absolutely. Yeah.
To add to the squad is what we were sort of craving, because there's still age on his side, and there's still the chance that he could develop. Trossard is essentially a squad player, and has contributed, at times very favourably. And even this season, a goal at Villa, which you obviously hated the celebration of, but it was.
And since then, he's been crap.
Yes.
He's cost us points since then.
So have the team. There's been a real dysfunction, but that's probably true of a lot of teams. No one, especially now Liverpool have dropped points in the last 2 games, no one seems to be able to put
Chelsea
relentless runs away. Well, Chelsea are in probably the strongest vein of form after Liverpool for a lot of the season, and even Man City at the start. Man City actually started the season at real gallop, and they've just gone completely off a cliff. Notably,
we're in our best run of form at the moment.
We are
unbeaten in 7.
Unbeaten in 7, won 5, and then drawn 2.
Can I give you our goals since the international break? This is another bit of hopium from Le Grove, right? So we've actually scored 19 and conceded 4 in our last 7 games since the international break.
Yeah, but it's about the spread.
Yes, no, absolutely. No, I get that. But by context, Liverpool have scored 13 and conceded 7 in 6 games.
Can I also put into thing? I don't know the exact numbers, but someone on something I was listening to said that I think, is it Chelsea and Spurs?
Spurs have the second highest goal difference.
Yeah. But because, it's just ridiculous, because it's how you spread those goals out, and we've said
absolutely
famously, the 5 blanks that we had last season are really costly, because we need to be much more consistent at scoring in every game rather than just scoring 5. When our tails are up and we've got the wind with us or something. So it's just about picking those locks, and now there is a formula to how you beat Arsenal. You keep it compact, you let us have the ball on the wings, and funnily enough, it kind of works.
And you stop Saka.
Yeah, you triple up on Saka, and then
because the left side doesn't quite work.
Do anything. So
what we need. Sorry, can I make one suggestion? Kieran Tierney overlapping, crossing to Havertz. Come on.
Is it too late to get Kolasinac back?
What's Giroud doing? Is he in America?
He's in
Because we
LA,
need someone. We need someone on the end of the crosses because we are putting a lot of crosses into the box, but we're not scoring from them. Unlike I play Gabriel up front. I mean, you know.
this was there was a moment when I was watching that Everton game in a bloody hotel in Leeds and just thinking I should be on a night out having a good time here, and I'm not. Where, yeah, I noticed the lack of it just felt like there was a lack of desperation, which I wouldn't necessarily be advocating for, but I just felt like we kept trying to win it with control. And actually, that control was not going to win that game. A bit of chaos was going to win that game because Everton could deal with control. So yeah, stick Gabriel up front and just launch it at him because they wouldn't.
That's not Arteta, though, is it?
Well, that's what. But okay, but it should be Arteta to risk in quotes inverted commas Nwaneri and Odegaard in the same team for the last 25 minutes. Like that's not a huge risk, is it? But yeah, he wouldn't do it. I mean, Martinelli's been, I still pick Martinelli over Trossard, but that's probably more personal than anything. But Martinelli was up against a 39-year-old geriatric at fullback and was pants. Mm. There's no excuse for that. And Young was on a yellow card at some point.
To what extent do you think Martinelli's kind of issues are coached? And I mean that because he was always the chaos merchant. When he first broke out, he was like, wow, pace, and he was an agent of chaos. He even played up front for a few games, didn't he? He was just everywhere. And I think he's trying to harness him in the same way that Saka is so efficient on the other side, so productive. And I think he's trying to create a kind of template for Martinelli that just doesn't fit him. In a way, that idea of bombing on, checking back, giving it back to his centre half or left eight or whatever, and it's just kind of copy and paste. We don't really see much ingenuity from him. It's as if he's kind of on a lead. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
I see it slightly differently because I'm still seeing the head down, not really aware of what's around him, and therefore going into a vague sort of panic mode. Because. He's not beating any players to then get the cross in at the byline. He's not, when the ball's on the other side, he doesn't seem to be making much of a sort of run. I just think, I'm wondering if that sort of football to intelligence to break that form that he's in is maybe not there. He's one of those players that's going to be good in a team that's functioning well, but when a team isn't functioning well, I don't think he knows what to do.
I'm just curious to know what his instructions are. I don't think he's been given carte blanche to do what he likes, relying on his initiative. I don't
think any footballers are now, no. Okay,
so Arteta said after the game, Arsenal did everything to win the game. He said exactly the same after the Fulham game. So why didn't we?
Well, I've seen an Everton fan online who was responding to a lot of the Arsenal negativity, saying that actually, compared to other teams that they've faced, Arsenal did a lot more and had Odegaard's chance in the first half gone in. You're talking a different game. They saw it as a bit of a freak 0-0 where, yeah, he was pleased with the way Everton defended, but ultimately you play that game another 9 times and it is a probably different result.
He compared it to Man United when they lost 4-0 and he said that we were much better than United.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I
but
get
that doesn't help. That doesn't help.
But it doesn't, and exactly. And the problem is, if it was in isolation, then you probably would go, "Oh, it's one of those."
Yeah.
But it isn't. We've just seen too many of these.
Okay, Steph, come on. What's the solve? What's the solution? What does Arteta do for maybe not Palace on Wednesday, but Palace at the weekend? When is the Palace game at the weekend? Is it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday evening.
Saturday evening. Are you going?
I am going.
Oh, good stuff.
Back in the game now over Christmas.
Away end Stef.
Away end Stef is back.
So what do you want to see, or what do you think Arteta should do? Not what do you think he will do, but what do you think he should do with the players he has available to him? Rice picked up a bit of an injury, haven't heard anything about it, but let's assume he's fit. So let's assume that, all our central and attacking players are available. What do you think he should do?
Well, what he should do is encourage them to try and exploit when Palace commit themselves, even if it's a slight thing, like that one little opportunity against Everton. And it's a case of perhaps encouraging, because we know teams will put a focus on trying to stifle our right side, actually maybe vary things up with the left side. Rather than invert the left fullback, try and get them to overlap and create some strengthening numbers on that left side. I mean, the thing I've been complaining about, and after reading that Billy Carpenter tactical analysis thing, the safe ball of the player next to you does nothing. It's easy to defend. So it's about taking that risk and looking for the next player beyond, or a quick crossfield pass. Look, everything's got to be done with pace and intensity, because Palace are going to bring it. They are in fine form at the minute. They're probably one of the form teams in the league after Chelsea. All right, they're not winning every game, but they're not losing and they're sneaking results. And so their tails are going to be up, and they've got some decent players. Not world beaters, but they're a functioning team who seem to be all,
I watched their win against Brighton at Brighton.
They were very good.
They were very, very good. And in particular, that Lacroix, their centre-back, he looked superb.
Well, I've enjoyed that. Is it Munoz?
Munoz, yeah.
He's chipped in with a goal here and there as well. He's very front foot. He wants to get forward, even as a fullback.
And so they won't be easy to score against. But, Chris, you mentioned in the WhatsApp group that, typical, we're meeting Palace and they're on good form. And then you said, we're meeting Brentford, travelling to Brentford at home, Brentford away, Brentford at home, very different beast. We're travelling to Brentford and they're on good form. And I'm like, good, because they're not going to do what Everton did. No. They're not going to just defend.
Like I said earlier, playing away, I think it probably plays into our hands a little bit more. And
but even at the Emirates on Wednesday, I don't think Palace will sit like, or I don't think they'll be as defensive minded as Everton. And I'm not judging it. Well, I am a little bit, but they came for a 0-0, and they got it.
Wednesday's a bit more of a free hit, really,
it's
isn't
a cup
it?
Game, yeah.
Yeah.
But even again, I know Palace at Palace will be different to Palace at home, perhaps, but they'll come at us at the weekend on Saturday. They'll definitely will, because they're up, they're confident, they're playing on the front foot. And they'll be dangerous.
Well, look at the results, the positive results we've had recently. They have been teams that have tried to go toe-to-toe with us. Sporting got torn apart. West Ham.
Forest on form, good away records.
Yeah, and we beat them.
Man United managed it for one half, but then Set Piece FC did them.
It's a quandary, isn't it?
So it's either Arteta does something different, because we know the definition of insanity. He's got to try something different, because he's saying we did everything but everything to win the game, but we haven't, and he said that twice, and we haven't twice. So something's not right. We're not clinical enough.
Before he gets, in January, maybe there's an opportunity to ship one out, ship one in. We don't know what's going to be in the offing. What I do know is what they won't do is go for something short term. It won't be a loan from another team. It won't be
Rashford,
an old. Oh God, don't even start. It won't be an old duffer who's like got one final bloody move in their thing.
Do you know what? That works for Larson at United, and that they won the bloody treble with him, didn't they? Yeah, when he came in at Christmas time.
And so in between now and then, it is going to be, so it's Palace away and then at home in two different competitions. It's Ipswich, Brentford, Brighton. Actually, because actually Ipswich are
on good form, yeah.
Give it. But also, they're not just a park the bus team either, Ipswich. They're trying to play. They're trying to balance it in the way that, say, Southampton don't, for example. They can mix it up. But those are all teams that are not going to park the bus. So we might have, or we could have, and I'm not necessarily guaranteeing this or even going to predict it, but we could have quite a good Christmas period, and then we won't need to do anything different. It's when we next face a team who we can reasonably assume are going to sit deep and hit us on the counter the way Fulham did and the way Everton definitely did. That's when we need to do something different. And it might be, the only thing I can sort of think of is going 4-4-2, having two attackers, sort of centrally up front. Whether that you go sort of Havertz with, Jesus, so you've got someone who's tall and can just, get on the end of crosses, and someone who can link up play. I don't know, but we've got to do something. Yeah,
but we know this has been our problem. That's why we're doing reasonably well in the Champions League, because we're not coming up against teams. We're coming up against better teams than Everton, who back themselves more than Everton did, whether they're playing at home or away. So and we're not cruising. We're third, but we're pretty comfortable with our two easiest games left in the Champions League.
And look at the one we lost to a penalty that was a bit naff.
Well, yeah, but we know there's going to be a problem. So Arteta shouldn't be surprised or kind of undone by those tactics, because, as I said, with his 3 years' experience at City, under the tutelage of the most successful modern manager around,
who himself, in getting Erling Haaland, has kind of had to sell out his ideals. Because his ideal football is not to play with a big man up front and just feed him, is it? It's to have complete interplay, lots of different players creating lots of different chances. His best, he will, I'm sure, look back and think that his best team and his best performance was the team just before Haaland, probably, when there would be 5 or 6 players who would get into double figures on goals. And it was all, neat, quick passing football, the whole tiki-taka thing. Look, Haaland was a freak goal scorer and is still a freak goal scorer. But at the same time, look at what they're doing now. It's become one-dimensional, and teams are figuring it out. We haven't recruited brilliantly, or there hasn't been perhaps enough of a churn in the striker positions, and what churn there has been hasn't quite worked, a la Sterling or someone like that. And so perhaps it is time to look at some fresh blood.
Well, it is odd that we haven't signed a striker. We haven't signed a striker. I don't understand why that's the case. We're just not like we've got a young striker coming through. We've shipped out Eddie and Emile and Nelson and Vieira. There's a lot of attack-minded players who may have offered nothing again.
Even as far down as Mika Biereth, the Chido kids who went to United. There's no, I don't know, there's no sort of direction from young players going forward into the striker position, is there? So
I don't know whether he's got I don't know. I can't. He's an attacking manager. I don't understand why he's neglected that. He wanted to build on defence first. And when you inherit a team that's got Mustafi in it, I can understand that.
Remember when we would get transitioned on and there would be a gaping gap between the midfield that had committed forward and the defence, and it would be like the Alamo. And we would get, was that for game when we conceded 30 shots or something under Emery? And I think that's what Arteta saw and thought, I'm fixing this.
And he has, yeah.
He has, but it feels now like we've kind of gone so far. And as we said earlier, you've got these incredible central defenders and midfielders, DMs. Trust in them a bit and just break a bit quicker, put some intensity and pace. That's the success of the second half against Fulham and United. Okay, we didn't win one of them, but that was what produced results, was that intensity and drive. And we couldn't produce it for whatever reason against Everton. There was a hesitancy.
We're not out of the title race. We're still
too early.
We're still in with a shout. It's not like a fatal blow that's been rained down on us by Everton or Fulham. But it's just frustrating because I'm not convinced that this won't be repeated. That's my issue. It's like, well, okay, I don't have the confidence or the faith that Arteta is going to do what whatever it is he comes up with, I'm not paid the big bucks to work out a solution. He and his team are. I'm not sure that they've got it within themselves / the squad, whether that's players on form or not, or just the wrong type of player because of kind of negligence in an attacking sense in terms of squad building and team building. I don't know. I don't have that confidence that anything's going to change unless something changes. And that something that changes is I'm not an Arteta out or anything like that, but it's a striker coming in or an attacking player coming in, a difference maker, somebody who's going to, like someone drew a comparison, like it's not easy to win the league. You know, we won the league with a Thierry Henry and a Dennis Bergkamp and a Robert Pires. Like, where's our Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp and Robert Pires equivalent in this team? Well, okay, Saka,
and Odegaard, but you need one more.
And you need that third one. When the other two aren't delivering, Pires would pop up. Even Freddie went on a little blitz of a run, but he'd be more like a Trossard or a Martinelli squad player, perhaps. So I think January is really important. I think that if we don't sign a striker, and I don't care that it's they have to put up the big bucks and make sure that they secure the player that they want. They shouldn't just have one player and all or nothing on one player. That's negligent. That's ridiculous, because so many things can occur to thwart that deal from happening, which seems to be their attitude in the summer. They went for Sesko. That didn't happen. No plan B, no pivot, which is unusual because they've pivoted before successfully, but not this time. And I think that this is another transfer window where we're crying out for a striker. We need a number 9. I'm not going to say, a wide left player, Saka on the left, sure, fine, I get that. And I'll accept that if that's what we get and don't get the striker, but I want the number 9 first. If you ask me who, I could run the rule over a few potentials. Cunha at Wolves being the obvious one at the moment, notwithstanding his crappy attitude.
Not after this weekend.
Yeah, post final whistle, I didn't like that at all. But so what is it? January? I don't know. Jesus finds form, Martinelli finds form, and we have got underperforming players, Trossard as well. I don't know what the answer is. Help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised about the amount of noise I've heard of people saying that that is the title gone. Considering, all right, we're 6 points off Liverpool and they've got a game in hand, but they've stuttered. They've stuttered well, I must admit. If we'd drawn, but it was drawing after having played with 10 men for a long time, and you come back to equalise at the end, that's gonna feel like a point gained rather than 2 dropped. But at the same time, all it takes is for a team to put a run together, and if anything, this season is being, shown to be one where teams can't really do that for the Man City style lengths of time that it takes to win the league, and we're not even at Christmas and New Year yet.
Even if we repeated the run we had last season, January time, we'd win the league this year. Probably,
yeah. Like you though, we're not putting those runs together either. So,
no. But then this time last year, we weren't going to do that either.
No,
and we did. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Let's have a look. I'm not going to dwell on Palace too much because we'll come back and we'll have a look back at the quarterfinal and then look ahead to the league game against the same opposition on Saturday. But Steph, what team do you think he will put out on Wednesday against Palace in the quarterfinal?
Well, I've chosen Raya in goal because of the Neto cup-tied situation, and I don't think he'll play Tommy Setford, who did well against Preston, but Palace are a different prospect. Back 4, Timber, Saliba, Kivior, MLS.
Don't say MLS.
It's only because I'm not going to. I don't like saying MLS, but I've written it as MLS.
I've actually, disclosure, I've written MLS down as well.
MLS works better on the page because it takes up less. I like to keep my back 4 on one line on my little note that I've written on my phone.
We can't Americanize this. Don't let Chris Americanize us.
Embrace it. It's fine.
And that's because I think if Gabriel's not 100%, just keep him out for this one, save him for the league game. Midfield 3, Nwaneri, Partey, Merino. And that's purely if Odegaard came off because he's got a knock and Declan Rice says he felt something, don't risk him. Nwaneri's capable. Partey didn't play against Everton. We'll see. And then front 3, Sterling, Jesus, Trossard. Because Saka, just wrap him in cotton wool. Jesus is looking a tiny 0.001% better with more minutes in his legs, so give him the chance. I don't know.
Before I come to you, Chris, I just want to say I've got exactly the same team.
Have you?
Yeah. Oh. So go on, Chris.
I did put Setford in goal, but I kind of feel like you guys have got it and that he'll probably put Raya in. But I'll just for the hell of it, I'll stick with Setford. I'm going to put Partey at right back, Saliba, Kivior, MLS, Nwaneri, Rice, Merino. That's presuming Rice is fit, but...
Well, he went off with an injury, so
let's wait and see.
Odegaard didn't go off with an injury. Odegaard was tactical, but Rice was injury.
So, Chris, if Rice is injured, would you still keep Partey at right back and play Jorginho?
I'm trying to save Timber. That's the only reason I'm putting Partey there. That I do not want to really play Partey at right back, but I think for this game. So, yeah, obviously, if Rice is injured, then we've got no choice, really. You would have to bring him at CDM and put Timber back at right back. Up front, I've got just a different arrangement of the three. So Jesus wide right, Tross up the middle was a sort of false 9 and Sterling left.
Steph.
Yes.
Score.
2-2.
Oh, but there's got to be an outcome.
Penalties.
There's got to be an outcome.
Oh, God. Penalties. Who's there? Oh, Henderson. Oh, I don't like Henderson. No.
Okay, so 2-2, 90 minutes. Does it go straight to penalties at 90 minutes or is there extra time?
Yeah.
Straight to pens. Okay, so we go out on pens. Great, Steph, thanks. Chris?
We're going to win 2-1.
I do feel I need to apologise for predicting 4-0 against Everton and not reading the room. I should have read the room a lot better than picking 4. I just thought we'd go for it, and an early goal would have, as that Everton fan rightly pointed out, had we got that Odegaard goal on 15 minutes, then we're talking about a very different game and we could easily have picked them off 4-0. So I'm going 3-0. I'm waiting for us to spark. I thought the Forest game when I picked whatever it was, 4-1 or I can't remember the Forest game, and we did win 3-0. I thought that was the spark, and we're unbeaten.
That's the thing. It feel like the 2 draws feel like they just take all your momentum because draws are the killer. You're absolutely right, Chris, when you say that a lot. But like you say, we're not losing. It's not a catastrophe. The problem is it's also not.
We're controlling every game, dominating and controlling every game.
So the Forest win was really good. The West Ham first half was really good. Beating Monaco 3-0, beating Sporting 5-1.
United
2-0. Fine, set pieces, don't care, whatever. But that idea of, if a team, resists us for the first sort of 20, 30 minutes and then goes into low block and we suddenly run out, that's just weird, the pattern of play. And, it is right. If we'd got the early goal against Everton, we're then probably not going to lose the game because they didn't go there for the win. But we didn't, and fair play to them, they held out.
Okay.
I predicted wins and we drew, so I'm off it. I'm off wins now. Sorry. Psychology's coming back. Don't care.
Well, you're going. We'll talk about Palace in the league. We'll talk about Palace in the league on Thursday, perhaps, as a little preview. Yeah. Anything to add? I mean, we started off talking about City. That is just something really odd happening there, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think there's 2 things. One is they are naturally aging. They are coming to the end of their cycle as a team. The second thing for me is we don't know really what's going on behind the scenes with, the court case and what has been leaked and what the players and the club already know, agents already know and are positioning themselves perhaps. You just don't know what could be going on. So I'll just leave it there as a kind of...
Yeah, well, I think I did say, I did read somewhere that all the agents have contacted clubs, prospective clubs for their players, just in case,
it's unsettling.
Have your option. Yeah. And Rodri,
for me, it's Rodri. You lose the best player in that position in the world.
Really can't pin the awful form they've had on just Rodri.
I think it's massive.
I mean, look at our form without Odegaard as well.
But this is City with such depth.
Yeah, but the problem is Rodri missing exposes the weaknesses in other players who are aging, who are slowing down, who are maybe not focused.
I still think there's more to it.
I'm sure there is.
More to it.
I think there is, because it just seemed quite all of a sudden, but the timing is...
I wonder about the hunger. They've won 4 in a row. They've won the Champions League. To keep going, to keep having it.
Why couldn't they have done this last season?
Well, I know, but that is what it is. And also, there's something to be said as well about their recruitment, because it doesn't go said enough that they've spent 100 million quid on Grealish, who's really kind of having a stinker and seems to get away with it because he's a nice guy and he's English and blah blah blah. Foden's
he hasn't scored, has he, this season?
Supposed to be like the player of the year last year. It's just disappeared. De Bruyne's injuries keep sort of cropping up. Doku, for me, is after Haaland, although Haaland's one dimension is brilliant. Doku's such a one-dimensional player. To me, he's not much different to Martinelli in terms of what he's output and what he's doing at the moment. It's head down, run, I'm quite quick, and then not much else. That just doesn't get spoken about enough, I don't think. And bad things behind the scenes. Pep's losing his rag, and it's just great.
It is great. It's almost bittersweet a little bit, because
it is. We should be enjoying it more, and 10 points ahead of them.
Yes, exactly.
But also frustrating is Liverpool and Chelsea, because they look like the teams who are the most together, and I wouldn't have thought that about Chelsea 10 months ago.
That is quite a remarkable feat, when no outfield player starts their games older than 27, and he's come up with a championship club and he's taken on that job, and it's been drama-free.
But I don't know if it has been drama-free. I think what's happened is a bit like when Arteta took over from us, and the Cronkies just said, no, it's Arteta's way, and therefore some players, like Aubameyang, basically remove their power. Maresca and the club, you presume backing him, have come out and said, no, these are our players. Those players are over there. It's why Sterling ended up with us and other players sold or on loan or whatever, because they just needed that clarity of decision. Where Pochettino before was changing things up and had quite a good end to the season, which Maresca picked up on. But that clarity of, no, this is how we're doing it, just seems to have just brought that clearness to them, and they do look quite good for it.
Mudryk on loan in January?
No.
Rashford on loan in January?
No. Sorry.
He'd be our third top goal scorer if he was.
I don't care. I want a player. I don't want another project. I don't. Sterling came to us as a kind of project, and it's clearly not working. And Arteta's. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like when another club that gives us quite a lot of delight sometimes is Tottenham, who made that comment about Werner having subbed him at half-time against Rangers. The point he was making was that we've got some good youth players at the club who are chomping at the bit to get their opportunity. So when we've got injuries or when we're in certain competitions and we need to take it seriously, he can't risk putting in young players who, might do well, but might also not do very well, and it will knock their confidence. So he needs his best players to step up. Well, that's what Werner didn't do for Spurs. We can't be bringing in a player who we hope kind of, delivers and doesn't. I'd rather a young player come in like Lewis Skelly has, like Nwaneri has, than a player who's going to command a big amount of wages, by the way, as well, and expect to play a lot more and has to deliver.
It will be interesting to see where he does end up, because they've been pretty public and vocal about him going in January. Do you think he'll be PSG in January on loan?
Well, like that. Marseille seems to be a bit of a ex-Premier League safe haven. Girona.
Dumping ground.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, for 2 podcasts in a row, you two have failed to cheer me up.
Sorry.
Not that that's your job.
Nice victory at Liverpool, keeping them in the hunt.
And Chelsea dropped their first points of the season. They drew 1-1 at Leicester. But that's I think they've won 9 and drawn 1. So we're still about 5 points behind them. So, but still we've got to play them, and City got to play them. So you never know. Green shoots of hope for Arsenal women. Where is the hope for us? Right, okay. Well, anyway, thanks for the efforts. And enjoy the quarterfinal wherever we're watching it. I hope we take it seriously. I hope we really go for it. I hope we plays out a stronger lineup than the one that I've predicted. And because it's good. It's good for momentum. It's good for confidence. Get a semi-final. And
well, given that we're playing him a few days later, it may turn out that he fields a much stronger team. But let's, wait and see.
Is the draw for the semi-final? It's not one of those ones where they've already done it, is it? They'll draw afterwards again.
Yes, I assume.
So who
is it? Spurs and United, isn't it? Who's the other one?
Spurs and United. So one of them's got to go out. You got Southampton.
Are Spurs playing United?
Spurs are playing United.
Oh, right. Oh, excellent.
Yep. Southampton have got Liverpool, and Newcastle have got Brentford. But Brentford are away, and their away form is toilet. Poor. So I assume, on form, Newcastle are probably going to win that. Liverpool will win theirs. United and Tottenham, I mean, that's like 2 drunks in a car park.
Where is it?
It's at it's at the Tottenham Stadium.
So that's like one of our blogs. That's a crap off. That is
a crap off. What's interesting, I sort of, and I kind of hate myself for saying this, I sort of want Man United to win, because I want, as quickly as possible, for Ange's possibility of a trophy in his second season, mate, to just go and disappear. I just need it to go as quickly as possible, because it's just funny. It's just really funny.
Chris, who do you want to win through, Spurs or United?
Oh, that's...
Can I just rephrase
so hard.
Can I just rephrase it? I want Spurs to go out. I don't really want United to go through, but I definitely want Spurs to go out, if that makes sense. Because Man United, for all that last-minute win against Man City, was still pretty crap against Man City.
Could we not just have Spurs win this game and then go out in the semis?
Lose to us.
Okay, so this is the thing. This is the way... if I was to answer my own question, the way I'd couch it is, which team would I like to lose least to? Because I actually think we'd have a better chance of beating United over two legs than Spurs. I think Spurs are a better team. I think they've got more flair about them. I think they could damage us a little bit more. However, they could easily self-destruct, unlike Man United perhaps. But I'm not sure. Like you said, Steph, I watched the game yesterday and United offered precious little going forward. And
I mean, Liverpool are clear and away the favourites, right?
Well, I don't know who are, but probably us as well. I
think Palace will be a lot tougher than we think.
If you're looking at, from an objective point of view or a neutral fan's point of view, Liverpool will be favourites. We'll be second favourites out of the teams that are left, no question.
Because I get Palace, could be forgiven for thinking, actually, our league position is a bit precarious. But because of their recent run, it's not as precarious as it was.
Well, they're only 4 points out of the drop zone.
No, but Southampton, forget about it. Wolves look like they're not even functioning as a football club anymore. Yeah, Ipswich are going to be dogged and there and thereabouts, but, put between them Leicester and Everton, Palace will be fine. And they're 1 game away from a 2-leg semi-final, possibly Wembley. I think it'll be a strong team.
I think Palace will put out a strong team, yeah. I think they'll definitely go for it. It's like, why would you not? It's, you play, I know it's easy, play the game in front of you, but it's a chance of silverware. And who are we to turn our noses up at the League Cup?
We've won it twice in my lifetime.
I just don't want to go out to either Spurs or United. It's like, that's just... No, I'd rather lose to Palace than lose to United or Spurs. That's my feelings on it, and I don't know how to square that. Knowing that if we beat Palace, I'm just storing up a whole world of pain in a 2 Like,
but we could get Newcastle or Liverpool.
Who are Liverpool playing?
Southampton.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, innit?
Where is it?
At Southampton. Does that make any difference?
New manager bounce?
I was going to say, yeah. Sam Allardyce.
Allardyce.
Oh, I'm not going to enjoy it anyway. Yeah, new year, new hope, new me. There you go. I'll be all right again in January.
Well, I'm looking forward to Palace at the weekend. Back in the
Yeah, well, we'll catch up. We'll reconvene on Thursday. We'll look at the two Palace games. Hopefully, it's sandwiched between two comfortable victories. Anyway, thanks for listening. See you next time. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye. The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.
Giroud in the middle, Perez joining him, in it goes towards Olivier Giroud! Oh my goodness me! What a fantastic goal by the Frenchman! Even he is surprised! What a finish!